Hello, hello, beautiful stars. Good to be with you. Courtney here with Stars of the Morning Light. And this is Edgar Cayce Life Skills Study. Um, Thank you for being with me. It has been a very, very, very long time since I have been live, and I miss being live. So this might be a bunch of stuff. A lot of things might come out of my mouth. Who knows? Many of you know how I flow. If this is your first time here, welcome. It's a wonderful community here at Stars of the Morning Light and also on Stars of the Morning Light on Patreon. Great community there. So this is Edgar Cayce Life Skills Study. There is a playlist if you would like to go back and start from the beginning. Most of these videos are either going to be of his bio, a much longer description of his bio, where I also mix in similarities of those who are able to access the Akashic, and or one of his books from his collection. Please know that I believe my husband is about to walk in the door because it is 4 o'clock here, Eastern Standard Time, live. And so that means the dog behind me might get up and prance around. I see Lori in the chat. Great to see you, my dear. It's been so long since I've been live, and I probably got a lot of stuff to say. Today, though, we are still in Edgar Cayce, The Secrets of the Universe and How to Use Them. This is an old copy from 1989. We are in the last few chapters. We're in chapter 15 now, which is the secrets of the Bible. I will go through it. There's only 18 chapters, so we are reaching an endpoint here. Probably will be done by the end of August. We then, many moons ago, I put out a poll here in the community page as to where would everybody like to go to next with Edgar Cayce as far as his books. I will get back to his bio. And everybody chose this. I mean, the amount was overwhelming as to how many people want to know about Edgar Cayce and reincarnation. What did he say about reincarnation? What is all this stuff about? Which I might actually tap into a little bit of that today because the topic of soul contracts has been circulating around me a lot lately. So good to see you, Lori. Whoever pops in the chat, especially when I'm live, I do try to say hello to. So if you hear that because you're watching this later, thank you for watching it later. Please hit thumbs up for me. I try to express my gratitude for them being here. And like I said, we're a lovely community. And Jackie J just came in. Good to see you, my dear. I am going to try, now that the beginning of my summer and all of the festivities and crazy of summer has finished, and now I'm into the dog days of summer, I am going to try to be, yes, live every Wednesday at 4 p.m. for Edgar Cayce Life Skill Study Eastern Standard Time. So thank you for joining. I do look a little sweaty. Sorry about that. I am not one to really care, and I will tell you, under these lights, it gets a little hot, folks. I hope everyone is well and has gotten enough sun, but not too much sun to keep you awake all night. We are lovely, beautiful stars. And here on this 3D Earth, we're like little batteries that just absorb the sun and absorb the light, absorb the energy. And many of us do not know to release it, give it back to the earth to help her through a great transition, or give it to someone else in a healthy, positive way. We hold on to it and then we got to start taking melatonin and everything because in the summertime we start losing sleep. Oh, that was my little drink plenty of water, get plenty of sunlight, release that energy back to the earth, and make sure you're getting healthy sleep. That's my little health for us, as we are definitely in the dog days of summer here in the Northern Hemisphere. So I also wanted to today, I wanted to pull a card from our Sacred Geometry deck because it's been so long. I used to do Friday mornings live at 11, Everyone here, beautiful stars, I'm going to start that again probably towards the end of August. My Friday live at 11, probably towards the end of August. I am also with Lucky Stone 888 every Friday night, either pre-recorded to air here at 8 p.m. and occasionally once a month live on Lucky's channel, Lucky Stone 888. This Friday, July 19th, 2024, we will be live. I don't even know what the topic will be. Maybe I think he told me 2 weeks ago or last week or something. It's always a doozy when Lucky is hosting. He is a fun time. So please join us live at Lucky Stone 888. It is in the description. Just go there, follow Lucky, subscribe to Lucky. Be with us at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time this Friday, July 18th or 19th. Sorry, 19th. 19th. I'm looking at the calendar. 19th. It'll be a good time. It's going to be such a good time. Join us in the chat. But I used to on the live on Friday at 11 a.m., where I did all my great ramblings. We used to cover the Emerald Tablets. I am actually going to be returning to something else. We are going to be talking about order and the SUN when I get back to that towards the end of August. So, but I used to pull a sacred geometry card at the beginning of that every Friday. I'm going to do that now for us because it's just been a while and we need it. We need it. So, of course, I went to the sacred geometry deck and I said, this is for the collective. Whomever hears this message, who has eyes to see and ears to hear, may you receive. The card that was pulled was number 36, Prosperity. It's been a while since we got this one, folks. The frequency of prosperity supports our feeling of well-being by allowing the inclusion of everything that makes our body, mind, heart, soul, and spirit sing. It invites us to express ourselves in joy and celebration of the abundance and riches that the universe provides. Oh, I love this. I will hold it up. So, as we can gaze at that card, I love that when we look at this card and we read it again, because I will, it did not mention like financial prosperity. It was saying when the inclusion of our mind, body, soul, all of it, when our whole person, our whole pyramid self is in joy and celebration, living that way, well, then we experience all the riches and all the abundance that the universe wants to give. And my patrons know at Stars of the Morning Light that I am very keen at not using the word abundance because the word abundance just means more of. So oftentimes we really have to have that connection, that mind, body, soul connection, and be true about what we are seeking as in abundance. And so they have here, as I read it again, the joy and celebration. So joy and celebration in abundance is great. That is prosperity and the riches. I'm going to read it one more time. The frequency of prosperity supports our feeling of well-being by allowing the inclusion of everything that makes our body, mind, heart, soul, and spirit sing. It invites us to express ourselves in joy and celebration of the abundance and riches that the universe provides. This is gratitude. Gratitude and prosperity are brother and sister of each other. Gratitude and prosperity go hand in hand. So, definitely, number 36, prosperity. It's wonderful. I'm glad we got to pick that card today. And it might come up again later. So, I'm going to set it right there. So, beloved stars, what a July we've had. What is going on? Before we get into the book, before we get into the secrets of the universe and how to use them, I want to go back to a bit of Lucky and I have discussed it some on Stars of Morning Light when we air at 8 p.m. and or live on his channel, Lucky Stone 888. We have brought it up a little bit about this particular July. And the collective Akashic message is available. It's in, I recorded it live and then I just let it loose. So it is in the live section here and or the playlist for monthly Akashic readings. I suggest please go back and listen to it. At the very end of the collective message, which there was a lot to it, I'm going to remind everyone that they said, the energies of this July 2024 will not be back again until 2028. And these energies will affect, like, what we do with this month will affect 2026 and 2025. Well, that's a lot. That's a lot, right? Like, there's a lot that's been going on. So, at the very, very end of that, the beginning, they called us leaders of creation, right? I discussed this with Lucky last Friday. At the very, very end of that, they said, make peace with the past, make peace with the now, make peace with yourself. And as this July, actually, probably about the last 6 weeks, right? This kind of really started more with the summer solstice, right? Maybe a little bit post that, about the last 6 weeks or so, into the end of July. Many have been experiencing kind of this rewinding of the tape, this review of life, this connecting the dots, this people, places, and things are from our past are popping up. This is natural right now. It is natural. Long ago, I used to say, because we can't take it with us where we're going. And then my husband said, Courtney, that usually means you can't die with it. What I mean by that is that all of this energy, collectively and individually, is for us to make peace with the past, make peace with the now, make peace with ourselves. Leading into the 8/8 Lionsgate portal, the August 8th Lionsgate portal. I can guarantee you by July 29th, I will say that date again, by July 29th, your soul will be tingling. Your soul. Some of you might catch that spirit, that fire. Maybe your soul will ignite. Your soul will be saying, okay, this is who I am. This is where I stand. I forgive myself for all of my past transgressions. I forgive them, right? Forgive us, for we know not what we do. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. Love them, for they know not what they do. This is the progress that humans evolve into. I forgive them as I forgive myself. I forgive them as I am forgiven. Your soul will have worked through so much that by July 29th, things will have occurred that you will know where you want to lead your own story, march into your own story, write your own story, create a whole new, because we are leaders of creation. So I think it's beautiful. Is it difficult? Yes. Life in review is difficult. But the most beautiful thing about all of that, and we are going to cover some of it when we get into the secrets of the universe, is that it is always an opportunity when we are reviewing things, when things pop up, to acknowledge and appreciate and accept our humanness, right? Our humanness, the triumphs, the sorrows, the blessings, the failures, all of it, to celebrate and make peace with the past, make peace with the now, make peace with ourselves. My lovely teachers, Shri and Kira, especially Shri, um, taught me years and years ago that everything that happens in life is an opportunity to practice compassion for self and others. And yes, in different degrees of actions, traumas, harms, gratitude, blessings, all things come in different degrees here in the 3D, right? Somewhere in the midst of all of it is an opportunity to practice compassion for self and others. And that is this life in review in July. That is the life in review in July, allowing that humanness of yours to be seen through compassion towards yourself and others, past, present, self, moving forward. So I just wanted to put that in there, that I know we are in the dog days of summer, but I also know through many, many, many conversations that energy is very present, and is because August 8th, with that beautiful Lionsgate, with the Leo energy coming, beautiful Leo, the sun, ruled by the sun, giving us the courage and the energy and the strength and the confidence. Don't we just love the Leo? And of course I'm a Leo, that's why I get to do that. um of course that energy then will come in for us. Beautiful Cancer, ruled by the moon, all those emotions and so much Cancer energy, helping us to learn to sift through the emotions, sift through the memories, sift through the conversations, sift through everything to identify what we want to do with it. And then Leo shows up and says, get it done. So I can't wait for the beautiful compassion that we can get things done with. That's my, oh, I can't wait. Good to see Kim. Good to see you. I also wanted to put in there, um, some of you might not know this, even though I've said it many times in videos long ago, because I'm about to get into the book. My teachers taught, and I do believe they were correct because all things are lining up that way, that our soul, as Edgar Cayce speaks in The Secrets of the Universe and How to Use Them, our soul self, my teachers taught me that in August of 2021, if you can think back, because now that's 3 years ago, August of 2021, your soul, my soul, All of our souls made a decision, even if we're aware of it or not. Our soul said, this is who I am. This is what I'm here to do. This is what I want. This is how I'm going to design my life. Even if we're aware of it or not, folks, because as we've spoken here, 2022 hit and man, life was fast paced as ever. We didn't even barely have time to catch our breath, let alone meditate on what our soul wanted or what our soul is saying to do. As Edgar Cayce in this book would teach us, that take a deep breath, ask that question of your soul, pause before exhaling. That answer is right there. That is the soul speaking to you. Exhale. August of 2021, your soul made a decision. I will tell you that decision will be more known, more aware, more revealed in its grand entirety this August and September. I can't wait. I can't wait. I get so excited. You all are such beautiful beings. Everyone is such beautiful beings. I can see the potential. Oh, the infinite potentialities of everyone's existence is phenomenal. With that being said, in July as well. See, I kind of tried to warn you. A lot might come out of my mouth because I haven't been live in quite a while. July is, well, it's known for this, and this July of 2024 is, whoo, it's doing its thing. Usually July, um, there it is known for its timeline shifts, timeline jumps, time slips, all sorts of crazy stuff of July. As far as in perception, creation, that all that. It is known for that. Once again, because we need to have glimpses of how life can be. We need to have glimpses of what to let go of. We need to have glimpses of how we are actually creating. We need to have glimpses of what how time kind of really works. As in, I love how people say there is no time. No, time is a thing. People just don't know how to use it. July shows us little glimpses of that, right? It shows us all this great stuff. So many people are talking about the timeline shifts. Yes, go for it. Here's the thing. Many of us get glimpses. Many of us can feel it. Many of us ponder these new ideas, these revelations of what is time and timelines. It's not until that beautiful portal of August 8 do we then take hold of this new knowledge, this new perspective, this new way of creating, that we take all the energy from Leo and make it happen. So July is notorious for that. And what's interesting is because this July is mixed in with also kind of a life review, looking at our humanness and saying, okay, I love myself, I accept myself, and I'm going to do better moving forward. So, beautiful beings, good to be with you. And thank you for being in the chat. We are in chapter 15. It starts with a little quote, and this is Secrets of the Bible. I am not going to read every example of this, but I am going to explain it. Let me read the quote first. As I find my glasses, pause just a moment. Here we go. Can't read now with my new older set of eyes. All right. The quote is, most of us operate from a narrow frame of reference than that of which we are capable. failing to transcend the influence of our particular culture, our particular set of parents, our particular childhood experience upon our understanding. It is no wonder then that the world of humanity is so full of conflict. That is from M. Scott Peck, The Road Less Traveled. That sums up everything that July is right now. All those influences and all those choices that we made based on those influences because we had lack of awareness. Then no wonder that the world of humanity is so full of conflict. Make peace with the past. Make peace with the present. Make peace with yourself. Secrets of the Bible, chapter 15. The secrets of the Bible are not the providence of religion, but of each individual human mind and soul. The Bible belongs to each one of us as personal instruction in thinking, acting, being. Edgar Cayce read the Bible 67 times, once for each year of his life, and insisted that everything we need to know, indeed, more than we shall ever comprehend about spirituality, is in there. Comprehension comes with the willingness to read it from our own perspective. So it's interesting. Just the other day, actually, with a conversation, um, I was in a conversation about the Bible and the Christ mind, the Christ consciousness, the Christos. And I do have many dear loved ones, friends, family members, also students at patreon.com. I have many who religion, the dogmas, the structure, the order, the organization, harmed in great ways. Um, and so it's a tricky conversation to have. Do know that Edgar Cayce, as they stated here, he read the Bible, well, 67 times it says. It's because at a very young age, well, I want to say definitely by 13, 14, every New Year's Day, he would start reading the Bible. He would read it. And he read it then every single day for those 365 days. And he got through all of it. Every single day, he read a section of the Bible, whatever section he was in, big or small. He started at New Year's Day and he finished at New Year's Eve. And then he started at New Year's Day and he finished at New Year's Eve. So that's a little take on his bio. Edgar was a devout Christian. Later in life, as doing these readings and people recording what he's saying, because remember, folks, he quote unquote, they thought they were putting him under hypnosis, even though he had the gift from a young age of going into this sleep state. We know now that it's a form of meditation that he was doing, and he was just connected. Lovely Edgar was kind of chosen to be connected to this, as others can either learn how, open themselves, strip themselves of this, the turmoil of 3D to allow the expansion of the Akashic to be present. Others can learn how. He was just, well, he was just kind of sent that way and created that way and made that way to converse with these beings and places and things, right? So, without going so much into the Akashic, he was a devout Christian. And later in life, as people are asking different questions about reincarnation, as we're going into, as that was not supposed to be a part of the program, now was it, folks, right? about aliens, about Atlantis, about all of these things, right? He, based on learning how to trust his own ratings, which took a long time period, later in life when all these questions were coming up and he was answering them, right? The Arcturians, Atlantis, reincarnation, what this is, what that is. Oh my goodness. He himself then took his own judgmental, maybe prejudiced glasses off, because the Akashic, there is no such thing as judgment there. Knowing this, having the heart for it, trusting in his own ratings, wanting to have or he had the desire to seek within the pages of the Bible again where things lined up. He put on a new set of glasses while reading it. He read it with his own individual eyes, opposed to what the pastor or preacher or reverend might have been speaking at the time. In doing so, he understood that book, let's say, the Torah and the New Testament. He understood that book in a whole different light. I will tell you, I've read it 5 times from cover to cover for page to, I've read it 5 times, not 67 times. I read it 5 times. And at some point I did the same thing. Kind of around the time that the Akashic was kind of knocking on my door, got into Edgar Cayce knocking on my door, wasn't sure how to mix the two, how can I do this? And eventually I kind of evolved into the being in front of you now. I then put on a whole new set of eyes, whole new glasses, and reread it in references of speaking with the Akashic, in references of understanding what is being said and done here, regardless of translations. That does come up in this chapter, the concept of translations. I was looking at more as to the complexities, the Christ consciousness, the Christ mind, as it is referred to in this book. Every time they spoke, that had multi-layers to it, folks. Many multi-layers. And then I added the Nag Hammadi scriptures into it. I had already read the Dead Sea Scrolls, but then I started referencing the Dead Sea Scrolls to bring things into more of a perspective that is my own, that we all can do. So I'm bringing this up because it is not the Christ consciousness. It is not even the written word, apparently, right, that has done all the harms. It is the humans. It is the organizations. It is the control. It is the power that can be attached to dogmas, doctrines, all of it. Not to negate anyone's pains and sufferings, but to bring some perspective into when we talk about Edgar Cayce, the Christ consciousness is going to be present because that was his form of belief and understanding how this world works, was through biblical terms, not other religious terms or ancient scriptures. So I wanted to make that very, very clear. He was a beautiful man who, with his connection with the Akashic, learned a great many things that are fascinating. And I just recently, last week, picked up a new book of Edgar Cayce, which is actually about Jesus and all the stuff that he actually learned, who he really was the Christ consciousness. That's going to be a fascinating read one day for us here as we walk this awakening together. So comprehension comes with the willingness to read it from our own perspective. As merely a suggestion to stimulate thinking, the Bible becomes clearer if you picture Jesus as a Christ mind, speaking and moving through the cities and villages of your own mind. Picture every person spoken to, even if unrecognizable, as an aspect of your own human mind. The disciples, the lepers, the blind, the dumb, the lame, the centurion's servants, all represent different phases, states, consciousness, each with its own thoughts and ideas, some healthy, some not. Try to get the sense of all the people in the Bible as representative of thoughts and ideas that we have fathered or that have fathered us, influenced us, our own workings of our mind. So that is how she's proposing. That's what Edgar proposed, to not just throw it all away. During this turn of the century spiritualist movement that was happening during his life, right? This is the whole reason we're doing this series, is to bring 100 years forward, to maybe not throw all of it away, but read it with a different concept as you approach the material, as in all that Christ spoke to and traveled through and the events that took place have a representation of the different recesses and corners and thoughts and ideas in our own mind, opposed to literal. Picture the Bible ships as vessels, your body and the soul body. See the sea and the waters as the unfathomable depths of each human mind. The sea's great storms and tempests, mental turmoil. View the tombs as recesses in the mind. The devils and demons are wrong thoughts and ideas. So you guys are getting the understanding as to what they're proposing. And I will tell you, when you do that, it does shape things differently. I think a lot of things in the Bible we can take literally when they teach not to take literally. And then other things we should not take literally when they teach us to take it literally. It's fascinating what happens. So what she then does in this chapter, she goes to Matthew 8 of the Bible and all the stories of Matthew 8. Most people will say, if you don't know anything about the Bible or the New Testament, read Matthew. That's what most people say. I personally like Luke more, but that's because Luke was very black and white for me. Very easy. But so she takes all these different stories from Matthew, and I will tell you how she wrote them out to place Christ's mind, or this was a thought or an idea, like if demon is mentioned, thoughts, ideas. I read through them all, and I'm going to read some as to how she wrote it down, and then I'll explain some others. The reason you hear some hesitation in my voice is because I don't know if reading this to you is going to convey as easily as it does reading it to oneself in print form. So I'm going to do the best as I can. Okay. So this is an example from Matthew 8, and she didn't even really I I appreciate her, but she did not give us where in Matthew 8. She just started writing examples, so that's fine. Um, I'm of course referencing the author here. And Jesus, the Christ mind, put forth in his hand and touched him, saying, "Oh, let me go back up. I apologize." Okay, so Matthew 8. When he, the Christ mind, came down from the mountain, great multitudes, many consciences, followed him. And behold, there came a leper, a disease aspect of the mind, and worshipped him, saying, Lord, if thou willest, The disease acknowledged his power. Thou canst it make me clean. And Jesus, the Christ mind, put forth his hand and touched him, saying, I will, be thou clean. And immediately his leprosy was cleansed. And Jesus, the Christ mind, saith unto him, the newly healed aspect of mind. Okay, so the man with leprosy is actually a disease part of somewhere in our mind, right? It could be addiction. It could be low self-esteem. It could be all those horrible things we tell ourselves, right? Whatever, a diseased part of the mind. And when I say diseased, I say just something that is harmful to us, dis-ease, right? Something that makes us not an ease. So the man with leprosy represents that of something in our mind that makes us in disease, dis-ease. And he goes up to Christ, and because he worshiped and believed in the Christ mind, he says, please cleanse me. Christ says, okay, I will. You're cleansed. There you go. Then the leopard, right? The newly healed aspect of mind says unto Christ, Christ says to the leper, see thou tell no man, but go thy way, show thyself to the priest, and offer a gift that Moses commanded for the testimony unto them. Basically, don't talk about it. He gave 3 verbs there: go, show, and offer. Okay? Christ is trying to say, just go show him. I'm going to move on to the next. And when Jesus, the Christ mind, was entered into, actually, hold on, I apologize. I'm going to jump here because some of these are written, like I said, I had to go through these actually kind of thoroughly as far as being able to understand all the parentheses. Actually, you know what? I'm going to hold it up quick if you want to check it out, as in see how many parentheses that I am kind of going through. That's why I'm not sure how much is going to come across if you're just listening and going through this. But I'm sure all of you are beautiful, intelligent beings. You understand the concept here. There's one here about the centurion who, think of, a high-powered figure who believes in Christ, but he's got soldiers, he's got servants, he's got all this power. One of his servants is sick, okay? That whole story of then he goes to Christ and he says, "Can you heal my servant?" And Christ says, "Well, I'll just come to the house and do it. I'll just get it done for you." And the centurion says, "No, no, no, no. I'm not worthy for you to come into my home." Well, then Christ, in his own way, was like, wow, okay, this centurion knows his power, knows that I'm actually more powerful than him, also knows all of these different compartments of his life: the servants, the soldiers, his own power, my power, this sort of thing. Like this mind, okay, so follow along. This mind understands the different compartments, understands what can override other parts of the mind, what can say, you're healed and it be done, right? Which part of the mind is um, more apt, let's say. So, in that version of the story, and then so Christ says, okay, your servant's healed now. And the centurion's like, thank you, thank you, thank you, because he just trusted and knew his servant was healed. That is to represent those who kind of know their own authority, think affirmations, think I teach catching your thoughts. We can't do much about our thoughts unless we catch those thoughts and say, hey, what are you doing here? Who are you? What are you doing here? Are you trying to do me good or are you trying to do me harm? Right? Those kind of minds are more able to accept in healing, gratitude, abundance, prosperity, as we read at the beginning of this video, the riches and joys and celebrations of life, because they allow things to be a bit more compartmentalized and they catch their thoughts. They use affirmations. They establish who has the true authority within their own mind. Okay. And in that story, they established their own authority, but then they also gave authority to a mind, the Christos, the Christ consciousness. They gave more authority over to that mind, right? This comes down to kind of like that moral idea of I'm a good person. I don't intentionally harm anyone. So that's a beautiful thing. I love that. I don't intentionally harm anyone. Is that the same as being Christ-minded? Is it the same to be a moral person and not intentionally hurt anyone compared to having compassion for self and others? See the difference? That sort of thing was being taught in that story of the centurion and his servant. This is another one. This is another one. When evening came, they, other aspects of the mind, brought unto him, the Christ mind, many that were possessed with devils, aspects of the mind obsessed with wrong thoughts and ideas. And he cast out spirits, discarded the ideas with his word, the Christ mind's all-powerful way of insightful speech, and healed all that were sick, that it might be fulfilled which is spoken by Isaiah the prophet, saying, himself took, holds up our infirmities, and bore, exposes them for what they are, our sickness. Pause right there. So lots of commas again, or, parentheses again. So in another section in Matthew 8, they're out for the evening. Christ comes upon a village. And this village has many minds. So the Christ mind, let me see if I can retell this in a story that is for you and others, right? That beautiful light that is within you and also in your mind and your consciousness. Remember, folks, consciousness is frequency. Frequency is consciousness. Christ consciousness is at least 7D minimum. Christ consciousness is 7D. 5D consciousness is compassion. That is the energy of 5D. Compassion. Very much used in observer mode, not observer to the point that there is no action. Compassion with action is 5D, right? Compassionate action is a lot of what my teachers would phrase it as, is fifth dimensional consciousness. 7 beautiful beings is, well, there's no judgment. It is the new earth. It is the land of no judgment. It is the land of infinite potentiality and uh, all possibility. Because when judgment is not present of self and others, that is when true creation, as to peace, harmony, and joy, is present. The only thing that blocks any human, the only thing that blocks any human is that little bit of doubt, that devilish in our mind, right? That doubt that seeps in, which is true judgment, that stops us from doing so. That stops us from knowing that we are beautiful, loving beings, us lovely stars that shine, to be able to create in love, peace, and harmony. It is the only thing. And that doubt is actually judgment. So when that judgment of self and others is not present, 7D consciousness, Christ consciousness, then we are without limits. And we do it within going through the compassion of 5D, compassion for self and others, as in always now having the acknowledgement and awareness of what others go through, the experience, right? The understanding of walking in someone else's shoes because we chose compassion over judgment. And every time we do that, it releases judgment from ourselves. We'll get there, folks. We will get there. I hope you followed all of that. So, in this particular story, he enters into a village and many come up to him that are possessed with devils, aspects of the mind obsessed with wrong thoughts and ideas. That's what the devils are represented in their description here. Demons, devils, obsessed with wrong thoughts and ideas. Very much, if you look at any levels of consciousness chart, what would be represented as 3D thinking. And he cast out spirits, discarded the ideas with his word, and the Christ mind all-powerful way of insightful speech, and healed all that were sick, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by Isaiah, right? That he holds up the sickness for everyone to see and then discards it because he understands the Christ mind, the Christos within, the Christ consciousness, understands I have more authority than these wrong thoughts and ideas. Now, when Jesus, the Christ mind, saw great multitudes, random, meaningless thoughts about him, he commanded them to depart upon the other side, where it was a little quieter. And a certain scribe, another aspect of the mind, said unto him, Master, I will follow thee wherever so you go. So this is another part. He leaves and does that. But then all of a sudden, like everybody in the village it comes up, and now it's just random thoughts, random thoughts, random people, right? That he goes, whoa, 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 whoa. It's very chaotic right here, right now. I can't really focus. I can't really understand what's going on. Hey, some of y'all go on over here where it's quieter. We got to balance this mind. We have to slow it down and separate some of this stuff. Because when we spin, 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 that doesn't help nobody. And a scribe, another aspect of the mind, the one, and if we think of scribe, that would be the one that would pay attention to the detail because they're going to write it down. They're going to make note of what's happening here, right? It's that little bit in the brain that's, oh, I got to make note of that. Oh, how did I just do that? Oh, how did that person just do that? Let me make note of that. That's the scribe of the mind. said to the Christ consciousness, Master, I will follow you wherever so you go. Then Christ turned to the scribe, the Christ mind, and said, the foxes have holes, the birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man haveth not where he lay his head. The Christ mind was warning that following him can get a bit uncomfortable. So if you see it as the scribe is the one that has to go, okay, let me make note of that. Let me make note of that. Now imagine that whole mind has been living in nothing but 3D, and then the scribe sees something great, hears something great, and goes, oh, let me make note of that. And then says, I need to follow this. I need to understand, how did he just move all those thoughts over to the other side? How did he just remove the negative thoughts and ideas and behaviors and habits? How does a mind have that kind of power? Well, that little bit of scribe in the mind, making note of that, Christ's consciousness, Christ's mind, then just turned to that scribe and said, it's not going to be easy, though. It's not going to be easy because it's not going to be like anything you know. It is not going to be the status quo of the 3D. No matter how big or small, this is not going to be easy because we are rewiring the consciousness. We are removing what is no longer serves us and adapting to higher frequencies, because consciousness is frequency and frequency is consciousness. I want to read one more. And this is more so too for the patrons of Stars of the Morning Light, because my last little video out there, we study, so everyone knows, we study the power of pyramids and how to use pyramids for protection, ascension, communication, manifesting. We use pyramids for all sorts of things, right? Or at least they're learning how to, and they've been practicing. So good job, all the patrons of Stars of the Morning Light. You're doing a great job. It is $8 to join. I teach there twice a month. You can get all past classes, from moon manifesting to all sorts of greatness, especially the empowerment of the pyramid stuff. The last little video I sent out, I did reference aspects and quotes of the Bible to talk about a certain aspect of using a pyramid, and when to have discernment and not discernment. And this little passage here brings it all together for especially the patrons. And I'm going to bring it together for you all as well. Before I end with that, I want to say that then there's a little bit of journey into the consciousness, where she basically talks about shadow work a bit, and the complication because of languages, the translation. The only reason I'm not really going to go into that is because we will most likely talk about shadow work a lot here, and we have, probably especially, I can only assume, when we get into the reincarnation, okay? Because that actually has a lot to do with shadow work. Plus, a lot of the last little bit of this chapter, like I said, is more about how can we trust the translation? How do we know what it's talking about? Well, man, folks, she wrote this in 1989. We've come a long way since 1989, haven't we? I still, in all regards to translations, as I say, read with open eyes, read with new eyes, read in meditation form, read by asking your guides to help you. Whatever you may need to do, take what you want and leave the rest. So I don't really need to finish the chapter out in its entirety of that, because we know since 1989 how much it's even been translated differently since. That was quite a while ago as far as technology and translation and what have you. Um, so it's not really apropos to today's world of today. But I do want to bring this into effect as to what I spoke with the patrons about, and I'm going to speak about this, and then I'm also going to just explain soul contracts for a moment at the very end of this, because that has also been circulating through dialogue a lot lately. Okay, so most people know this this part of Matthew, or wherever it actually I think is. It's not just in Matthew. I think it's in other areas as well. Mm, I don't know if Luke wrote about it, but I think Peter referenced it later. Anyways, I'm trying to quote the Bible in my memory right now. Um, we most people, regardless of religious ideas and faith, they've heard this story somewhere along the line of he came upon another village and he came upon a person who was full of demons, just full of demons. And then down yonder, he saw a bunch of pigs eating away, that swine does, eating away on the slop. And he was like, those demons go on into those pigs. It's interesting how she puts this, though. So we're there. We're there in Matthew. Okay. And there was a good way off from them. Okay, hold on. I apologize. I want to find where she starts it. And when he came to the other side into the country of Gernascus, another place in the consciousness. So remember, villages, states, countries, all of it is some area of the mind. There met him two possessed devils. Two aspects of mind obsessed with wrong thoughts and ideas came to meet the Christ mind, coming out of tombs, recesses in the mind, exceedingly fierce, so that no man, no idea might pass that way, can get past them. So I'm going to say it again. So he gets to another village. Two possessed devils. So two aspects of mind obsessed with wrong thoughts and ideas actually boldly came up to him and said, hey, we know what we are. They came out of the tombs, so the recesses of the mind. So this is when, kind of seemingly out of nowhere, we have like a dangerous thought or a harmful thought or I have to pause here. So I will tell you, most people know that I was a counselor at a prison. And I taught what was called criminal thinking classes to these prisoners. Um, and it'd be a bunch of men, and we're all together. I'm in front of them going through the material that they should have read. And it was criminal thinking, and there was a lot to this material. And in one class, I'm trying to talk to these fellas about their train of thought and why this is referred to as criminal thinking, because you don't think like other people do, right? And the big difference between those in prison and those who are not in prison is that somewhere in our mind, we say, stop, don't do that. We could have the worst thoughts just as much as criminals have. But somewhere within us, we say, stop, don't do that, when a criminal mind might not have that, right? So I say this, I kind of tongue in cheek giggle at it because I did care about these men. I really did. And so we're all we're all in a group and they're on bleachers kind of, and I'm in front of them and we're all talking. Oh, and it got a little hot and heated that day. But one fella, my gosh, and he was huge. He was like 6'8". He was a gang member, 6'8", kind of high up. He was a good guy, good kid, but man, criminal. And he starts trying to argue with me about his criminal mind. And then he starts, without even pausing, he goes into the story as to why he's doing time. And he starts telling the story, and I allow him to go on and go on. And essentially, for that time, he was in because of robbery, but like aggravated assault robbery, which is different than just robbery. And the way he told it was, well, and, I was just driving down the street and I saw such and such, and I thought, well, hey, now's my opportunity. This is an opportunity here. So I just went on in there with my gun and just did what I need to do. And so when he was done with this, I said, "You don't think you have a criminal mind?" And he said, "No. It just the opportunity presented itself." And I turned to him and I said, "Sweetheart, that's the difference. People not in prison don't see that as an opportunity." And everybody kind of started laughing. So that's why I kind of chuckled, because everybody's minds, beautiful beings, all sorts of lovely stars. Everyone's mind has those maybe demons in the recess, as they say, coming out of the tomb. These little devils that might say, "Whoa, that's an opportunity. Whoa, that's that. Whoa, we could do that." That might pop up out of nowhere. It is the Christ consciousness that said that, and they might even try to be like, "I'm bigger and better. This might serve us good, this bad idea. This might be our opportunity. This might serve us." We all have that. If we are here in a human body living in 3D consciousness, which we don't have to do anymore, 5D, you can fully anchor in, releasing all those thoughts and living in compassion and harmony, into 7D consciousness, 7 dimensional consciousness. The Christ consciousness is open for us to access, so we don't have to. But we live in a world where people might not be aware of this, so they have these thoughts. And sometimes they act on them, sometimes they don't. That is the biggest difference between criminals and non criminals. Somewhere within the non criminal, something stops them. It could be time, it could be logic, it could be someone else, it could be all an array of different things. And sometimes those thoughts are so big and so strong, that's when we go, "Oh no, that will help us. And we need that." Hence the story. So I'm going to go back to it. Okay. Two aspects of the mind obsessed with wrong thoughts and ideas came to meet the Christ mind, coming out of the tombs, the recess of the mind, exceedingly fierce, so that no man, so no other idea in that mind, might pass that way. Nothing can get by them. And behold, they cried out, saying, What have we to do with thee, Jesus, O thou Son of God?" Indicating even the fierce demons know who he is. So indicating that the worst thoughts that we could possibly have know that we are actually better than that within. Art thou come hither to torment us before the time? They know their days are numbered. So they turn to Christ and say, hey, we're approaching you because we see you right there. Have you come to destroy us? Like, why are you getting close to us? Light, you beautiful light in the darkness. And there was a good way off from them a herd of many swine feeding. That herd of pigs can represent a herd of thoughts feeding off that swine fed off of, indicating known as slop. So, off somewhere in the corner over in your mind is probably a whole bunch of activity, like just feeding on the news of today, feeding on slop, feeding on the video game you played last night, feeding on whatever slop there might be. So the devils sought him, saying, if you cast us out, suffer us to go away into the herd of swine. So the devilish thoughts, the really bad thoughts, knew how powerful the Christ mind could be towards them, knew that with one word, one action, one instant of thought, the first thought, as the Nagamati might say, as the Essene who Christ studied under, the first thought, who some call the word, who some call the light, the first thought could wipe them away. Just take it out. They knew this, so they didn't even try to combat it and say we're bigger, right? They did that with all the rest of the mind. But then when the Christ consciousness came in, they went, oh, our numbers are, he's got our number, we're done. So they said, hey, throw us into that slop over there. Throw us into those pigs. So at least it's not too bad. They just try to live a bit longer by becoming a part of other thoughts that are feeding off a slop. So who will notice? And we do that, don't we? We transfer those negative thoughts into, we say things like, oh, not right now. We even do that with our own self-care sometimes. Isn't that crazy? That we'll have this beautiful thought of self-care, and then we'll put it on what is called the back burner of our brain. We even move the positive stuff over to what is potentially maybe slop, a stew cooking for a very long time. And he, the Christ mind, simply said, go. One word was sufficient. Please take note of that. May the scribe in your mind hear that. One word was sufficient. And when the thoughts came out, they went into the herd of swine. And behold, surprise, surprise, the whole herd of swine ran violently down the steep place into the sea, and perished in the waters, the unfathomable depths of the human mind. Waters can also be the subconscious, right? And they that kept them, those aspects of the mind that make it possible for those particular devils to live, fled and went their ways into the city, another place of the consciousness, and told everything, warned, and what was befallen and what had happened had possessed the devils. So this village, remember, he kind of went into another village. Two of the biggest, baddest devils, thought, criminal mind, self-harm mind, negative mind, right? came up to Christ and was like, "Whoa, what are you doing here?" To the light within, said, "What are you doing here?" And because he was just passing by and through, they knew he was going to be there. They knew he could wipe them out with just one word. They said, "Hey, hey, 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 you see all those thoughts over there? You see all those, that other jumble of thoughts, that confusion, that stuff that we chew on for a long time without making a decision? Why don't you just throw us in that pile? Why don't you just throw us on that back burner of to-do list? Because we're never going to get to that list, even if it's healthy for us. Throw us back there, because then we really won't get to it. That sounds good." And Christ said, "Go." And then, unfortunately, what they didn't understand is that then, because of them entering into that recess, that corner of the mind of chaotic swine and slop, all the social media, well, it did not go so well. That swine, that slop, that fell right into the recesses, the furthest fathom part of the mind, into the subconscious, which I will tell you all, the subconscious, it knows how to clean things out. It does it mostly while you're sleeping. It takes all that slop and swine and all that disgustingness, all the stuff that you bring into your brain, controlled or uncontrolled, known or unknown, bring into your brain, it starts filtering through it and releases and cleanses it all for you. Beautiful, right? Well, then, he's still in this village. All these thoughts, other people, saw that he just took the two biggest mamma jammas there and said, "Go." And then they didn't just go. They exist to be. They were done. And all these other people, all these other thoughts, heck, maybe they were related to those demons. Maybe they were with those demons for so long they don't even know of their own goodness anymore. Maybe they ride the cusp of, oh, that's a little bit negative. Kind of when we, I don't know, look at ourselves in the mirror and go, man, I'm not looking good. Man, what happened with that? Or when we get into the car and we go, oh, this car is not going to last me too much longer. All of those little things that we might say to each other that have been hanging out with the bigger mamma jammas, right? They then fled to a whole nother area of the brain, a whole nother village. And on the way, they wanted to warn everybody. Oh, the light is coming. A new way of thinking is coming. Be careful. A new way of doing and acting and being is coming. We should be fearful. Everyone be fearful. All thoughts, all ideas, be fearful. And we call that doubt. We call that doubt. The Bible calls it the devil. That's what we call that. It is in our own mind. This beautiful human mind that if you want to go to the Bible and say made in his image, our mind is made in his image, as in we are leaders of creation. We are creating all the time from our most magnificent minds. And I hope all the scribes within you hear this, because it is not easy. Is it possible? Oh, most definitely. First, we have to go into those villages. What's going on in that mind of ours? We might have to, yes, cast out those devilish, evil, negative thoughts that want to harm us and others. We might have to use the self-compassion and love from above and within to reset so many areas. And it starts with even catching them first. Oh my goodness. Catch your thoughts. Find out what's happening in that place. It's a beautiful way to read the Bible and to think of the Christ consciousness. Consciousness is frequency, and frequency is consciousness. And so when we are still full of so many thoughts that are not of the light, then how do we create the light here? How do we shine the light? And I have a feeling many who might be listening either right now in the chat and or later, which thank you for listening. Please hit the thumbs up for me. Share it out if you can. If you're new here, join us. Thank you. Subscribe. I have a feeling many might be thinking, I can control my thoughts, but I can't control what other people do and say. I can't control what they say to me, how they make me feel. I can't control what my husband does. I can't control what my friends do. And I have a lot of thoughts on that, right? They make me feel things. Yes, they do. They do. Their thoughts influence your thoughts. Cayce talks about the influence. Everyone talks about the influence. Carl Jung, who brought up the shadow work, would talk about the influence to the point that Carl Jung would say we don't have choice. I really want to stress we do have choice. So going back to that centurion who was able to manage so much of his mind, so much of the different compartments. What is mine? What is theirs? What is sick? What is strong and healthy? What is my resources, my logic, my will, my understanding? What is all of this? That centurion then, without any doubt, understood the power of the love Christos conscious mind could come in and heal automatically. Heal automatically. It's when we do not know the corners of our own memories, consciousness, thoughts, and awareness of things, how we own our own habits and patterns and behaviors, our own inner dialogue, our non-inner dialogue, our dialogue with others. It's when we don't know how it is of now. It is very hard to shine the light and cleanse it. So I brought it up how the patrons had heard me explain a lot of this in a different form using pyramids this past couple weeks ago, because I have a beloved friend who his mind is, well, it's hurting. His mind is very, very much hurting. His body, mind, and soul. Can I fix that? No, I can't. Can I love him? Can I make him aware that there is a different way of life? That life can be different? Yes. But I told the patrons, but do I hang out with that? No. The reason why is take that last story. There were two pretty big devils there in that city. Two pretty big devils. This could be anger, this could be sorrow, it could be addiction, it could be anything, right? Two big devils hanging out in a whole village. That story just told us that that entire village then ended up being sick. Though all thoughts around those thoughts, the secrets we keep, the denials we live, the excuses we make, all of the thoughts around those were sick as well, to the point that when they saw the Christ consciousness come in and say, okay, go, you're gone, they were so scared, they they ran away to all these other little areas of the brain and warned all of the thoughts. Oh my goodness, it could change in a matter of moments. It could change in a decision and a word. It could change. Everything could change with a decision and a word. I see Elizabeth has joined us. Good to see you, Miss Elizabeth. So, everything could change with a decision and a word for your own individual consciousness. We cannot give that to others. What I have learned, especially of today and actually always, humans are humans no matter what timeline, time in history. Humans have been humans for so long. And that's why I love this aspect of talking about the mind in reference to the Bible. Because what I love about the Bible the most is how Christ would talk about human emotions. Because human emotions have been the same from day one to day end. Human emotions are the same. It wouldn't matter if we were upset about the taxes from Caesar or the taxes of today. It's the same emotion. Different reasons, different cause and effects, different circumstances, different thought ideas, same emotions. Our emotions are attached to our thoughts and ideas. So, I again pose as the Reverend Emmett Fox did around the turn of the century. He started preaching in the 1920s, same during the spiritualist movement that we talk about during Edgar Cayce's bio series. Emmett Fox posed, are you in love or are you in fear? Are you in love or are you in fear? And every day, all the time, when we catch our thoughts, we can ask that. Hey, thought that just rolled through my head, is that of love or is that of fear? If you are of fear, I'm going to shine some love and light and compassion, self compassion onto that thought and tell you there's nothing to fear. There's nothing to fear. There's nothing to doubt. Am I in love or am I in fear? Whoa, thought, I'm not going to be late for that meeting. I'm going to be perfectly fine. I might be just on time, but that's still not late. Whoa, thought, no, I'm not going to be hit by this crazy car that's driving 100 miles down the highway. I'm going to give that car all the space and room it needs and just be a nice, steady object for it to move around. I am safe. I am loved. I am secure. Catch those thoughts. Are we in love or are we in fear? And if we have a fearful thought, we can check it. We can replace it with a positive. We can tell us the exact opposite of what that fear is, that we are completely loved. We are completely safe and secure, loved. And prosperity is ours when we turn it from gratitude into experiencing our joy and celebrations, as we saw at the beginning. The one thing that gets in humans' way, before I talk about soul contracts, because I will do that at the very end here. And hello, Miss Cricket. Good to see you. The one thing that I have noticed out of teaching the levels of consciousness chart curriculum for a very long time from David Hawkins. For a very, very long time, I've known this. And this is where I have to then practice a lot of compassion for others. Is we are living in a day now of awareness. You can Google anything. You can read anything, you can listen to anything, you can become aware of almost everything. You can be aware. It's not awareness that helps us forward. It's not awareness that helps us to begin to heal. It's not awareness that brings that Christ consciousness into ourselves. There's a whole nother aspect to that. With awareness, awareness is like the masculine form. Awareness is the masculine of you gain the information, right? You gained the information. You're aware that you have some of these devilish thoughts within you. You're aware that you still have pains to heal. You're aware that we still have soul contracts that we need to detach from and cut. We're aware of all these things. So what's the problem? With awareness, the sister to awareness is acceptance. The sister to awareness, that is mostly masculine awareness. The sister to that is acceptance. Now, please remember, you do not to be in agreement. You do not need to agree in order to accept. That's not a part of it. But we do have to accept it is. We do have to accept I still have this character flaw. I still think poorly about my mother-in-law. I still think poorly about this person. Which I don't. I love my mother-in-law, by the way, using it as an example. I still do this. I still do that. I still, for some reason, when I roll out of bed in the morning and I'm feeling the aches and pains, I tell my body I don't like it. I still do all these things. We have the awareness. We have to accept it. And that's where the catch is, because it's attached to our emotions. That's how it's the sister of awareness. It's attached to our emotions. And so we don't really want to accept it because we tell ourselves for some reason that means I have to agree with it. No, we have to accept. Man, every morning I wake up and I tell my body I'm not happy with it. I have to accept that I don't really like this person. We don't have to like everybody. I have to accept that for some reason I'm still telling myself this. I have to accept that when I feel lonely or discouraged, I go shopping and spend too much. We have to accept that we have these things that we have to heal. Same as we have to accept that others do as well, and we allow them the space and time to be themselves on their own journey. We focus on ourselves. But there is that thin line between I'm aware of it, I know it, and then getting to the acceptance. Because that acceptance is where the emotions are. And we have to get to that acceptance in order to begin to heal, whatever that may be. Forgiveness, resolution, letting go, learning new coping habits and thought patterns, affirmations, whatever it may be. We literally, as a human, it's a two-parter. We can know all we want. We can know we have this affliction of the mind, body, and soul. We cannot do anything about it if we are in denial. We cannot do anything about it if we keep sweeping it under the rug. We have to accept it is in order to heal and resolve it in whatever form that may be. And I'm saying this very much so too to all those who, because lately it's been out there, all the warriors, all the spiritual warriors, uh, many people, because of the times that we live in. And honestly, folks, it's always been these times. This is not anything new to me. It has always been these times. We say that so interestingly of, oh, the times we live in. From when? It's always been the same. Humans have always been the same until us humans accept our humanness so we can actually gain Christ consciousness. It's the lack of accepting that we have been the same over and over and over again. So, all the spiritual warriors, because they're going to be coming out of the woodworks big time, right? And do not forget that by August, towards especially late August, there are going to be those who are the false prophets. Okay? The false messiahs, the false prophets, that is still in the energy of 2024, especially going into late August. All of them, the spiritual warriors, the false prophets, all of them. Okay? This is not in judgment to them. It is a educational moment, because I know a lot of beings here at Stars of the Morning Light also feel this way. When we are in a warrior stance, it really means we're not in acceptance. So therefore, we are actually not reaching any resolve, healing, letting go, forgiveness, whatever that may be. We are not reaching any resolve because we're still in denial about what is. When we are in a warrior stance, it says, it implies, it means I'm in disagreeing. I'm in disagreement with what is. And I'm in such disagreement with what is, I'm going to fight to change it. I'm in such disagreement of what is, I'm going to fight and protect what is mine to make it a difference, to change it. We can't change anything until we acknowledge and accept it is. Denial of the warriorship, even the spiritual warriors, does not get to a resolve that is of love, peace, and harmony. It gets to a resolve of more war. Warriors create more war. Protection of your personalness, whatever that may look like, is still pride. Saying, I am right, they are wrong. I am right, he or she is wrong. We are right and they are wrong. Protection is pride. Pride in a very negative way. Warrior is in disagreement to what is, to the point of harmful, because the resolution of peace, harmony, and joy will never precede warriorship. I wanted to just put that out there because there are many who see it as an honorable thing, to fight from their own pride and disagreements, instead of it is, and now where's the resolve? How do we be the light in the darkness? How do we change our own mind? How do we heal and reach more for 5D compassion for self and others, Forgive us, for we know not what we do. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. To 70, love them, for they know not what they do, is what my teachers teach. So I want to make that clear. And as I sign off, because this has been a very long one, because it's been a long time, it has been very good to see Kim, Lori, Jackie, Cricket, Beth. It's been so good to see all of you. I'm going to talk about soul contracts real quick because this might help y'all. And as we move forward, especially as we move from the secrets of the universe and how to use them, into eventually the reincarnation stuff, soul contracts, folks, because that's a whole nother thing. Those who are trying to step out of warriorship into love and compassion for self and others are acknowledging, whoa, I might have to remove and end and detach and cut some of these soul contract cords or end these contracts because it's not healthy for myself. Another very ongoing theme in July of 2024. This is a quick synopsis as to what's going on. Soul contracts are the other energetic being that you this life said, hey, at this time, we need to come together because I need to learn something. And you're going to learn this from me, right? There's some kind of arrangement, agreement made, even if it ends up being a painful one, right? That is a soul contract. Usually, it's a karmic soul contract. So let's take the example of I had a boss. Well, it wasn't a boss. I had someone who persecuted me lifetimes ago. And then in this life, it was a job position who persecuted me what felt like to the same extent. That was our only interaction. But that was a contract to help me get to another level. And I know for a fact no one had ever stood up to her in this life. So it helped me stand up for myself in this life, which I had to do. And no one in this life had actually stood up to her. So I kind of put her in her place. Did I get fired for it? Yeah. But somebody had to do it. But that contract, it propelled me into, well, who you see now of Stars of the Morning Light. It had to have happened. Persecution from lifetimes ago into a persecution of now. That was a simple contract. Soul contract, right? I was able to, it was finished, it was done. What I do when that happens and I acknowledge it, I actually picture that person in front of me. I thank them for their presence in my life and the lessons learned. I thank them and I hope that I did for them as needed, right? I say this contract is finished, it is complete, and then I clap very loud. When you clap, it breaks energy. It can break it in a positive way, right? It can break it in a positive way. You walk into a very stale, dense place, start clapping. Get that juices flowing. That's why maracas are so great. The noise. You can clap and it'll cut the contract. We're good because it's finished. It's complete. Soul mates. Soul mates are those people, beings, that you have a continuous, different kind of, a very long, probably multi items, right? Different disclosures within that contract. You have a contract with that being, but it happens multiple times. So many times, our partners, our children, our family members, our close personal friends, we have a contract with them And we've been together multiple times trying to execute at least completion of like this article of the contract. Because heck, maybe we can move to the next article of the contract, right? It's someone you have a very extensive, let's say, contract with. So you are together many multiple times. That is a soul mate. That's where that term comes from. Okay? Cutting stuff with them, a little bit more complicated, especially if they are still in your life. We can cut the negative energetic cords that no longer serve us with that parent, that child, that partner, right? We can cut the negative energetic cords between us. We can cut them in a deep meditation. I will tell everyone listening that Archangel Michael will come and assist if you ask him to, if you believe in such things. If not, you can use whatever form you believe. You can cut that imagine it, you can imagine a cord between the two. And let's say it's the cord of disappointment. Let's say it's a cord of neglect. Let's say it's a cord of anger. Let's say it's a cord of disrespect, right? You don't throw out like a partner, let's say, who is genuinely a good person. But man, that fight last Friday night, the stuff coming out of their mouth, right? We don't just throw them away, but we do want to cut whatever energy had been involved there, right? Or over a period of time, right? This is having compassion for self and others. So we can imagine we cut that energetic cord. This is the difference, folks. And this is what I really want to make clear to everybody is that you can cut the cord. And this is most people, sorry, the camera's shaking because the dog is shaking. Most people do not know this part because you are still energetically and physically and emotionally and mentally attached to that human. Either you live with them, you don't live with them, somehow you are still in contact, right? Which is fine. This could be your partner, it could be your child, right? It's fine. Because of that, we don't just cut those negative cords because us being in contact with them, it'll grow right back. Oh my goodness, it's going to grow right. It'll just come right back. It'll be nice and strong the way it was, right? We cut, and then we have to imagine removing that energy cord, right? Removing it completely out of ourselves. And then, let's say, because that person hasn't changed, because that's not in our control, I tend to, and I started this many, 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 many years ago, when they say something to me, or I don't know, their energy's not right, or what have you. And I do this with people, places, things, especially media. When I hear something that I do not want to get into that mind of mine and start playing its little tricks and games and hurt because it's not mine, I immediately will say, I reject that. That is not of me. I am telling that energy, that those words, right? That anger. Heck, they could be in the garage throwing stuff around. I don't know. Not mine. Not mine, right? I reject that. That is not of me. Meaning, I am telling that energy, you can't enter. You cannot enter. You are not of me. So therefore, I reject you. You cannot enter. So I'm hoping that this helps some, because so many of us in this July of 2024, if you have stuck around this long listening, thank you. I appreciate you. I very much do. Please leave a comment below if this has helped. In this July of 2024, we are doing that life review. So many of us in the collective. We can learn what to leave, what to let go of, what to take with us, what to embrace about ourselves, what to embrace about others. This is the opportunity to truly start becoming clear in our mind. Mindfulness is now a catchphrase of just being present in the now. There's so much more to understanding mindfulness. Mindfulness. What is your mind full of? So I love you, beautiful stars. And this has been a long one. Woo! I almost went for 2 hours. Praise you, keep you. You are awesome. You are great. Keep shining. What is in your mind? I hope this helped in so many glorious ways. And we will be together again next Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And everybody, catch Lucky Stone 888 and myself this Friday live over on his channel at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Friday, July 19th. I'm going to be with Lucky. He's hosting. It's always a great time with him. Join us in the chat. I love you guys. Thanks, everybody, for coming. Bye, folks.